The topic of my presentation is gastroprotective mechanisms of aqueous leaf extracts of Tephria occidentalis in ethanol-induced gastric ulceration in spraguedolly rats. Uh, Introduction. In times of both morbidity and mortality, gastric ulcer is a major health challenge. The etiology of gastroduodenal ulcer is linked to various aggressive and defensive factors such as acid, pepsin secretion, Barrett's cells, mucosal barrier, mucous secretion, blood flow, cellular regeneration, and endogenous protective agent. Inadequate dietary habit, cigarette smoke, excessive injection of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, stress, hereditary predisposition, and infection by Helicobacter pylori, reactive oxygen species, has also been implicated as one of the major causes of mucosal lesion and gastrointestinal damage. Several pharmaceutical products, however, are being used in the treatment of gastroduodenal ulcer and peptic diseases to decrease mortality and morbidity rate, but they are not completely effective in view of the fact that they produce many adverse effects. There has also been growing interest in alternative therapies and the use of natural products, especially those derived from plants. Plant extracts are some of the most attractive sources of new drugs and have been shown to produce promising results for the treatment of gastric ulcer. One of such plants is Tephria occidentalis. The plant has also been found to suppress one or prevent the production of free radicals and scavenge already produced free radicals. Although several studies have been conducted on the uh, medicinal potential of Tephria occidentalis, its pharmacological effect on gastrointestinal system is yet to be adequately explored. Hence, the interest in this research. Materials and method. The plant extract was
Dr.
obtained.
Aditya, please talk about your research work with respect to conclusions and your findings.
Okay, my findings. Um, uh,
Yes,
the
please talk
results.
about results.
Okay. Before I quickly go to the result, let me quickly show you the analysis we did in the course of the research. So the samples are harvested from the rats that were used for this research uh, were their stomachs, and these were sent to the lab for the various laboratory analysis, which include the gastric mucus content, gastric acidity, the gastric lesion, and percentage protective ratio, the MDA proteins, which are marker of oxidative stress, catalase, superoxide desmutase, which are the endogenous antioxidant, prostaglandin level, gastric interleucin 8, tumor nephrosis factor, macroscopical mucosal and histology were all um, then the second phase of the study was to actually evaluate the various mechanisms or channels through which the plant extract mediates its effect. So various groups of animals were created and they were treated with various pharmacological drugs and to really evaluate the pharmacological channel through which these effects were mediated. And then the statistical analysis used, the statistical package for social science, SPSS 20, was used for the data analysis, and the results were presented in mean plus or minus standard error of mean using suitable tables and charts. The results, so the various results obtained are presented as shown on the slides. This shows the results obtained on gastric acidity, the result obtained on gastric wall bone course analysis, the results on the ulcer index, the result for the evaluation of percentage protective ratios. Then the result of gastric oxidative stress marker. And then we have results on MDA, results on gastric endogenous antioxidants with specific reference to superoxide dismutase. Then the results on the catalase, and then the prostaglandin level results as evaluated. Interleukin 8, then tumor necrosis factor results. Then this is the gastric microscopy as presented on the slide here. The tissue histology as presented. This another result. Because of the limited time, I may not be able to expatiate on them. Then discussion and conclusion. This study shows that 500 milligram per kilogram body weight of aqueous leaf extract of Tephria occidentalis increased gastric mucus production, gastric protein, gastric antioxidants, gastric prostaglandin production, and a decrease in gastric FDA, decrease interleukin 8, a decrease ASAR index in the group pretreated with the extract prior to ethanol induction, induced ulceration. Percentage protective ratio were as high as 60.64% in the pretreatment groups. Pretreatment of rats for 7 days with Tephria occidentalis markedly attenuated gastric damage as evidenced in the above results. This gastroprotective effect is not without relationship with the component of the extract. Thus, the gastroprotective effect may be honed to its antioxidants and vitamins component. This gastroprotective effect, as we researched, is possibly involving non-protein sulfihydride compound, potassium ATPase, and calcium ion channels to mediate its gastroprotective mechanisms. So these were the things found and the conclusion drawn in the course of the research. And these are some of my references. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation and sticking to the time. And one will be in touch. Please share your email address and details out in the chat box. Thank you. Yeah, we will now go ahead with the next presenter. The next presenter. Yeah, please share your presentation. And I request you to kindly stick to the time of maximum of 5 minutes, ma'am. Dr. Adisa, request you to stop share screen.
All right.
Please stop the share screen.
I've done that.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. My name is Amal Abdurraouf. I'm a professor at the Computer Science Department at Southern Connecticut State University in the United States of America. And this work is part of the thesis of my graduate student, Vitali Bayer. He's not here today, but I'll be presenting this work because it's part of my lab work as well. In this work, we have a production technique model for a pharmaceutical company. So as you see, the title is Sales Production Model using ARIMA, which is Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average. So this is the outline. I'm gonna skip it so be easier for us to start. Like companies nowadays are using social media, so they collect a lot of reviews, videos, and photos. So they do have big data. We can say that a lot of data are collected, and part of the benefit of having this big data is to do some value for the companies. So one of them is to predict the future sales and other goals. So as I said, it's part of our research work. So according to the goal of the company, we can extract the appropriate data. And this is what we did in this research for sales prediction. So we have a pharmaceutical company. We have weekly sales data per doctor and per week. We also have the total sales prescriptions and new sales. We have the data collected from 2015 through 2019. And as you see, it's like 109.5 gigabytes and 777 rows of data, which is considered as big data. This is the raw data feed. And we used pandas library in Python to aggregate the data. So we have something smaller, and this is an example of that. And this is what we used in our aggregated weekly totals. You can see it in the chart here, starting from 2015 up to 2019, and the sales data are there. The data preparation is an important part. So we have used augmented Dickey-Fuller test that would determine how strongly a time series is. And we use a differencing technique to stabilize the mean and reduce trend. So we have the data prepared. These are the differences that we extracted. And the main technique that we used here is ARIMA, which is a statistical analysis technique. So we can use it for prediction in general. And it's based on observation and residual errors from prior time steps. This model has an effect on the future values of the series. So basically we use the old values to predict the future values. So we split the data into two parts. The first part is the training part, which is 80% of the data that we have, and the test part is 20%. This percentage could be different in different research models, but in ours we have used trial and errors until we get to this value, which give us the best results. We used R language under the forecast library. There is ARIMA, where we can put the different parameters and run the software. Okay. So this ARIMA model is based on two important values: the ACF, which measures the correlation of a time series at different lags, and the PACF, which is a partial autocorrelation. So it basically calculates the autocorrelation between the time series at point T and at point T minus H, which is the previous one. After removing any linear dependence, we got these two series values. Now, the ARIMA model has important parameters. So you can see here in this model, the cutoff values and how many lags did we use, tails off gradually or not, and the cutoff after P lags. So the main three parameters are P, D, and Q. During our research, we decided the values of each one of them, and we confirmed what are the good parameters using ARIMA.auto function. We used a KIC information criteria, or AIC, and Bayesian information criteria, which BIC, to determine the best combination of these parameters. The lower the AIC and the BIC, the more accurate the model is. Finally, we had the predicted results, and we used the 20% of the data saved for the test to come up with some evaluation for our model. So we use two important metrics or matrices to evaluate the model. The mean absolute error, as you see here from the result, the mean absolute error is 1526.2. That looks like a big value, but this is basically because the data itself is huge. You can see up to 30,000. So this number is not big compared to that. So in order to give you a better estimation of the error, we use the mean absolute percentage error, which is a percentage of the data. So you don't need to look at the units when you compare. The MAPE, or the mean absolute percentage error, is 4.83%, which is a very acceptable value. In research in general, using the prediction up to 10% is good number for accepted errors. So ours is 4.83, and this is basically what we did in our research. We had presented the sales prediction for a pharmaceutical company using ARIMA as our technique. We aggregated the data into usable format. Again, depends on the goal of the company. We can extract the important information from the big data the company already has. We described the software, the logic needed in order to organize the raw data, and all the steps for our prediction model. We evaluated our model using the mean absolute error and mean absolute percentage error. This is our future work. We will use multiprocessing for the data aggregation, like what we did here is just use pandas, which is a built-in API in the Python language, but we can use multiprocessor that will basically make the prediction faster for us. This is our expectation, but that would be in the future work. We also prepare to use other data points from different competitors for the company. We are also looking at seasonal sales information that was not predicted by the ARIMA. So we are looking at seasonal ARIMA for our future work. Also more models like ANN or hybrid model. I don't want to take more of your time, but these are our references. I will put my information in the chat. If you have any question or you want to have any future collaboration, you are welcome to contact me. Thank you. Any question for me?
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful presentation. We would love to get in touch with you. Please share your email address, ma'am. And we will also now go.
Next, please.
In the chat box, please share your email address.
I will do that. I'm going to stop sharing first and then
you have stopped here. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So now you can go next. Please start. Tudor?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Please start.
Yeah. Wait a moment. Can you see my presentation?
No, not yet. Not yet. Please share the screen.
Wait a moment.
If there is difficulties, we can go ahead with the next presenter. Who is ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Billy is ready.
Yeah. Please share if you are ready. We can go ahead with the next.
I'm trying to share my present.
Yeah, you can go next to door. You can go next.
Alt, yes.
I see my screen.
Mr. Billy is sharing the screen. We can just complete that presentation and then we can go ahead with yours.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm called Bisong Billy, a graduate from the IST University, Department of Information Technologies for Development. So I'm presenting my paper on adaptive design of attractive design of electronic health record app using user-centered design process and study of physician perspective on adaptation, choosing Cameroon Hospital as a case study and also as a reference for other third world countries with hospitals without electronic health record. So my presentation of my article, we have introduction, we have definition related to research and theoretical framework. We have research method and result conclusion. So electronic health record system is simply an information system that helps to collect information, health information from bed to death so that it can be registered, certified, and shared in different places by healthcare providers. The main goal of implementing electronic health record is improving the quality of healthcare by reducing medical errors, providing an effective means of communication, sharing information between design of electronic health record users. Electronic health help to facilitate the use of e-health and are the most important and most complex type of health information system. Electronic health record system have significant impact on how the medical system provide healthcare and manage medical data. So the electronic health record system contribute to positive changes in the healthcare and include improving quality, reliability, and safety. So
we would request you to concentrate on your findings and come
okay.
as many presentations
So,
lined up.
Yeah, our research on our theoretical framework was based on electronic health record system implementation based on socio-technical approach, which involve not just individual, but organization and administration. We also talk about the health record system in primary healthcare. Finding data and collecting this data and using them for medical research is also a very important concept in this paper. So we move to the next, we have electronic record system, attribute and essential requirement. Here we are talking about the technicalities of the electronic health record system and what are the core functions of electronic health record system and what is their purposes. So our research method and result was based on qualitative research and which was also focused on exploratory, interpretive, and case study. And we also have persistive studies. We have the design of the electronic web application system and which was used for data collection. We also use method like shadowing, which as a researcher, I have to communicate with patients and health personnel, giving them questions and interacting with them, telling me about their difficulties and challenges when storing data using paperwork and other devices in storing their data. We also have data analysis and a reflection of study. So this was our data collected based on cost of hardware, poor communication standard, cost of software, poor internet connectivity and availability, poor power supply, lack of uniform definition, concept, and no common language between designer, users, and custodian. So we also talk about the weakness of relationship between physician and patient, also the rejection by some user and inadequate computer skills and amongst non-medical and non-clinical staff, competent organs of poor funding and corruption, also possibility to compromise the privacy and confidentiality of security. So we also talk about lack of integrity and low level of awareness on electronic health record project in the region, unsuitable platform for implementing electronic health record, gap between administrative and clinical needs, leaders, corporation, and policymakers. So based on the research, we come across some few hospitals that we consider in my country, Cameroon. So we collect data from them and ask them about their ideas about electronic health record system. From there, we also find out that based on our questionnaires that we said, we find out the following result that shows that about 75% of these health personnel have a little bit of computer skills and also really willing to accept this idea of using electronic health record system in their hospital, and also for the administrators in the hospital also use it to make a good decision on how to improve the hospital and the well-being of the patient. We also have our result based on the audience, which are also patients, asking them about their mindset towards the use of electronic health record system, the benefit, and also the training and the learning from their colleagues. So these were the results that were displayed for adapting the electronic health record system. So our system was definitely a web-based application that will be implemented. So using your normal browser connected to a web server, and we collect this data for our future research purposes, and also the design of good equipment based on the result we collected from the health record system. So thank you for your attention. My paper was so brief, even though I have to summarize it because of time. So if you have any question, you can get to me through my email. I'll definitely display on the chat box. Thank you. Hello?
Thank you, Willie, for your wonderful presentation. Okay, Tudor has shared the screen. Yeah, please go ahead, Tudor. Willie, please share your email address. We would love to get in touch with you.
Thank you. So
yeah, we can see the screen. Please go ahead.
You can see my presentation.
Yes, please go ahead.
I represent automatic graph clustering based on supervised voice recognition technique. So in the introduction, I describe this speaker recognition technique, which is a biometric domain, and also pattern recognition domain, which have been widely researched in the last decades. I perform a lot of research in this domain, proposing text-dependent, text-independent speaker recognition techniques. I describe my past work, then we consider this unsupervised speaker recognition task. While the supervised voice recognition used by the security systems controlling access to various services, this unsupervised recognition is very useful for voice database indexing and retrieval. This unsupervised scheme can be used to cluster the speakers from an unlabeled conversation. So this unsupervised voice recognition systems with no a priori knowledge about the identity of the speakers, no training set being available, and we have no knowledge about the number of the speakers. So we propose an automatic speaker recognition technique. The first part is speech feature extraction. We propose a MFCC-based speech feature extraction. First, we compute the delta male frequency chapsal coefficients as one moment here first. So we use the male loading chapsal analysis for speech feature extraction. The male frequency chapsal coefficients, MFCC, represent dominant features used in speech and speaker recognition. We perform a short analysis on each signal SE. Then we compute the spectrum for each window of frame of these signals. The regular frequencies are translated on the male melodic scale using this formula. Then we compute the male chapsals of the segment as following: compute the logarithms of the power of each of the male frequencies, compute the discrete cosinus transform of the segments as the melodic low powers. Then MFC segment is active for each segment. Next, we apply the delta male frequency chapsal analysis. The DMFCC coefficients are computed as the first order derivatives of the chapsal coefficients. Next, the delta male the MFCC coefficients are computed as the second order derivative of male chapsal coefficients. And this derivation process is used to model the intra-speaker variability. A set of DD-MFC accuracy vectors resolved for each signals. Each vector contained 256 coefficients, but the main information being quantified is the first 12 of them. We truncate each vector its first 12 coefficients. And this obtained truncated DD-MFC base matrix is used as a vocal feature vector. It has 12 rows and a number of columns depending on the speech signal size. These feature vectors are powerful speech discriminators. Since they have various sizes, they cannot be compared using the well-known Euclidean metric. So I propose Hausdorff distance-based metric, which results from the classic Hausdorff distance process, having the following formula. And in this dxy, here x and y represent different size matrices having its own common dimensions, like our feature vectors. So next, we propose an automatic graph-based classification of these speech signals. This vocal feature set is divided in some classes correspond to the speakers. We construct a fully connected undirected graph G, VGE, whose node sets or vertex sets contain n nodes corresponding to these vocal utterances, and these edges, leaking edges, are weighted by this weighting function. One on D, V is E, V is G. So we apply next an normalized cut based graph clustering approach to this graph G. It provides a better clustering than other graph partitioning schemes. I describe here the n-put measure, where I and B represent vertex sets. The B partition of the graph G, which minimizes this, is completely determined by solving the next generalized eigenvalue system. You see here. This graph is B partitioned using the generalized eigenvector with the second lowest eigenvalue, and the median value is considered splitting point. And we obtain optimal set of edges A and B. Then it's applied recursively on the two resulting subgraphs until the these clusters are obtained. We apply here a stopping condition. If ASAR partition is smaller, then recursion have to be stopped. Also, the current set of node Q must not be partitional, and is a cluster with all weights are close enough to each others. The final form of this JL set is generated by this normalized basis recursive procedures. Consider the graph clustering output. This obtained feature vector classes correspond to the optimal classes of the speech signals. We tested this speaker recognition approach on many speech data sets and obtained very good results. The automatic unsupervised recognition algorithm has been applied on sets of interactions having the same spoken text, the same word, for example, and it's active high values of the performance measures, precision, recall, and F1. So these scores indicate there are a few fails, positive, and fails negative, means hits.
Tutor, request you to kindly, wind it up with maximum of 1 to 2 minutes because we have more presentation.
Yeah, it's not. I'm ending now. We compare with other method, and so we have here some method comparison results. Our proposed NASOR, SOM-based method, agglomerative hierarchy clustering, Cummins clustering, and we give best value for precision, recall, and F1. Here we have a set of graphically represented speech iterations, their feature vectors, and the distance value. Based on this distance value, we obtain the clusters. So we have some conclusions. A robust text dependency recognition approach have been provided. The automatic character provides suitable for more efficient large collection of vocal iterations. unlike many supervision speakers through sessions, our automatic usage models use now a priori knowledge about number of speakers. It detects automatic them, and we can use it for indexing large speaker, speech indexing, larger speech database, and retrieval from this database. So the proposed techniques don't work properly for vocal sequences characterized by different spoken text, but can use properly for the integration speakers from unlabeled conversations, and so could represent a starting point for this task. Here are some references. In red, you see my past contributions in these domains. So thank you for attention. If you have any questions, please. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Please share your email address out here and your affiliation. Thank you. We would love to get
your address.
Yeah, thank you. We will now go ahead with the next presenter. Okay, Almenge and Nadine. Okay, please start.
Okay, please give me 1 minute.
Yeah, Nadine, please start. We can see the screen.
Okay. So, my name is Almenge Nadine, and my presentation is on improper waste management and its effects. My case study is the Rampo village. So, the Rampo village is a small rural community which is located in Greater Noida, specifically in Uttar Pradesh, and the waste collection in this area is handled basically by municipal corporations, and bins are being provided for disposal of waste materials. So in the statement of the problem here, I'm explaining that the situation of improper waste management has gone a long way to influence pollution in general and air pollution in particular. So the consequences of this are very grievous for inhabitants, especially in terms of their health. And the Rampo village constitutes part of the industrial hub for Greater Noida. So this improper waste management, little or no municipal collection of waste, is something that affects the inhabitants very grievously. I also spoke about the cycles of the whole stages, the phases for proper waste management, which includes segregation, collection and storage, transportation, treatment and disposal. The objectives of this study was to study the trends of waste disposal in India, highlight the challenges faced with waste disposal, present the liaison between health hazards faced by inhabitants and the improper waste management, and explore adverse health effects prevalent in the community. The methodology used here, we went to the community and we formulated a questionnaire which was centered on questions about waste management in the area and the major problems faced by the inhabitants. Also, we also focused on the health issues faced by the inhabitants in this area. And the questionnaire helps to evaluate the health risk, their perception of waste management and other adversities, the results of which were visualized using some data visualization tools like Microsoft Excel. And based on the information gathered, we found that most of the inhabitants in this area have some form of basic education, but then they're lacking in terms of sensitization on proper waste disposal. Majority do not even see the need for communal cleaning. We also found that the majority of them face problems with their medical health. At least 1 or 2 members of the family get sick every month. The waste in this area was categorized in 2 forms, that is the solid waste and liquid waste, which are both generated by households, basically the inhabitants of the area. And based on our questionnaire and the responses from those who we interviewed, we found that some of them say there's little or no municipal collection of waste, while others attest to at least once in a week cleaning. And then we also found that some take charge of cleaning of their surroundings, while others are oblivious basically to the possible correlation between their ill health and the unhygienic conditions in which they live. We found that the most common illnesses plaguing the inhabitants of this area are allergies, gastrointestinal disorders, and skin diseases. So, based on our findings, there's need for the population to be sensitized. There's also need for effective waste management because, like we said in the introduction, India was ranked the 5th most polluted country in the world in the year 2021. So, if waste pollution, if there's effective waste management, it will help to significantly reduce air pollution, which will also go a long way in helping the inhabitants. And here we just have some graphs based on some visualization based off on the responses we got from the inhabitants. Thank you. If you have any questions, share my email so you can get to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, short and crisp presentation. We'll go ahead with the next presenter. Yeah, Mia, please go ahead.
Can you see my presentation now?
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Maya Shalain. I'm a teaching assistant at the Faculty of Pharmacy at the University. My poster presentation is entitled Design, Synthesis, and In Vitro Anti-Proliferative Activity of Novel 3,6-Disubstituted Pyridazine Derivatives. My co-authors are Dr. Assam Osman, Dr. Iham George, and Dr. Basim Nagi. Why targeting cancer? First, cancer is still a leading cause of death worldwide. Second, although there are many treatment options for cancer, there are many obstacles for achieving the expected outcomes or resistance. So, our research group decided to design and synthesize novel anti-cancer candidates that can overcome emerging toxicity and resistance. Into the reported anti-cancer compounds have led us to the figure 1, okay, to the compounds containing a pyridazine ring in red, along with an amide linker in blue. So those pyridazine containing anti-cancer targeted inhibitors like incertinib, ponatinib, and tilaglanstat. So this current study aimed to design novel anti-cancer candidates by keeping the pyridazine ring as an important pharmacophoric group while replacing the amide linker with its bioisosteric congeners like sulfonamide here, hydrazide, semicarbazide, or thiosemicarbazide. So moving to the experimental part, we have synthesized the target compounds by the reaction of the 3-hydrazine pyridazine compound 3A to B with either pyrotoluene sulfonyl chloride giving compound 1 or with substituted benzoyl chlorides giving compounds 2 to 8, or finally with isocyanates or isocyanates giving compounds 9 to 15. Then the in vitro anti-proliferative screening was done by evaluating the target compounds against 60 different human tumor cell lines by the Developmental Therapeutic Program in National Cancer Institute in USA for the purpose of calculating the percentage of cell growth. The results of the in vitro study can be summarized in figure 2. This heat map illustrates the gross percentage of the target compounds 1 to 15 on the y-axis against the NCI 60 cell lines on the x-axis. As you can see, the color range here ranges from dark blue indicating low growth percent or potent anti-cancer activity to yellow color indicating high growth percent or weak anti-cancer activity. The examined compounds exhibited low to moderate inhibitory activity at a concentration of 10 micromoles, except for compound 6, which exhibited the highest percent inhibition against most of the 60 cell lines, as you can see in dark blue here. Interestingly, compound 6 showed superior inhibitory activity, particularly on renal cancer cell lines, such as A498, Khaki 1, RXF 393, TK and UO31, with the highest inhibition percent reaching 98% on A498. In a nutshell, the in vitro anti-cancer screening has led us broad and spectrum anti-proliferative activity of compound 6. For the future perspective, investigations should be done on compound 6 to detect its mode of action. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the Center for Drug Research and Development at Faculty of Pharmacy, the Dutch University in Egypt, and SciFinder. Thank you for your time and have a great day.
Thank you, Mai, for wonderful presentation and good poster presentation. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Please share your details out here. We will text you later. Thank you. Yeah, we will go ahead with the next presenter. Are there any presenter pending? Who would like to go next?
Yeah, I am pending.
Yeah, please. Yeah, sorry. Please do share your presentation, Mana. Yeah, please. Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay. Yeah, this is Vanukumar from the India, University of Madras. I am okay. Today's my topic is estimation of the AUC using the Jeffreys period information. So in this presentation, we examine the performance of the Bayesian estimation of the AUC and the exponential distribution using the Jeffreys period information with the 3 loss functions. So first one is the linear exponential loss function. The second one is the general entropy loss function. The third one is the square error loss function. Actually, the results are validated by the simulation studies and as well illustrated example also. So we're calculating the AUC less than equal to 0.6, which indicated the overlap between the outcomes in the diseased and non-diseased populations. So a diagnostic test is built with some purpose, to the true status of the subject and to influence the healthcare provider's plan for managing the patient. We're evaluating with the 2 measure of accuracies. First one is the true and false positive fraction. Next one is the ROC curve. Coming to the true and false positive fraction, actually TPF is indicated the proportion of the diseased subjects detected by the diagnostic test, and FEPF is indicated the non-diseased subjects. When the TPF equal to 1 and FEP equal to 0, then we call the perfect test. And when the TPF equal to FEF, we call the non-informative test. So coming to the second one, measure of accuracy ROC curve, it is well accepted measure of the accuracy for test with continuous or ordinal results. This curve displays the trade-offs between the true positive false rate and false positive false rate of the tests. ROC curves measure the amount of the separation between the distribution of the test results in the both the diseased and healthy populations. And we consider the ROC curve is also effective measure of the inherent validity of the diagnostic test. Uses of the ROC curve is assessing the accuracy for a diagnostic test and also comparing the 2 or more diagnostic tests. So coming to exponential ROC model and its AOC. Here I have defined the density function of the exponential distribution, and here I have defined the definitions of the measure of the ROC curves as follows. These both are the equations for the respective distribution functions. Here I have defined the ROC curve and the distribution functions parameters. So accuracy of the diagnostic test can be explained using the area under the curve and ROC curve also. AUC described the ability of the test to discriminate between the diseased and non-diseased populations. The nature of measure of the performance of the classifier producing the curve is the AOC. This is the following the AUC is the nothing but is the integration of the ROC curve. This is the function of the ROC. Now coming to the Bayesian estimation of the AUC under the exponential distribution. Bayesian estimation proposed as an alternative to the traditional methods. Bayesian estimation approach makes use of the one's prior knowledge about the parameters as well as the available data also. When one's prior knowledge about the parameter is not available, we are going to use the non-informative prior in the Bayesian analysis. So actually we have examined the three loss functions. The first one is the linear exponential loss function. This is called the LINX. The LINX loss function under the assumption the minimum loss occurs. This is the function of the LINX loss function. We are estimating the LINX function using the linear expansion. This is the linear expansion. The second one is the general entropy loss function. This is the third one, symmetric loss functions. And actually we is simulation study, we are taking the sample size 25 and 50 and 100 as respect to small and medium and large data sets. And the parameters were determined with the Bayesian using the Jeffreys period information. The parameters we choose in the 0.5 and 1.5. The loss parameters we are choosing the plus 0.4 and plus or minus 1.4. Here is the result of the three loss functions is respect to the AOC. We are getting the highest results values of for the Linux loss function. So we comparing the three loss functions, we have got the highest values for the Linux loss function. So we can see here in the highlight. So this is the illustration. I have taken the low birth weight data, and the data consists of the 180 observations and 11 variables, and which 59 had low birth weight babies and 130 had the normal birth weight babies. Again, I have calculating these results. Here also we can see the highest value for the Linux loss function for the calculating the AOC. So this is the graphical view. We can see here highest value for the loss function for Linux. The conclusion is the main object for this presentation, Bayesian estimation of the AOC for the exponential distribution and the three loss functions, namely, a simulation study was conducted to examine and compare the performance of the estimators for the different sample sizes with the different values for the Jeffreys prior with the loss functions. So finally, we got the best value for the Linux loss function. So this is my presentation. If you have any doubts, please chat questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Vanakumar, for your wonderful presentation. So we will go ahead and take the questions offline. Yeah, please share your email address and details. People can get in touch with you. Thank you, Vanakumar.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, due to time constraints, we are just restricting these things. Do we have the next presenter ready?
Do you see my screen?
Yes, please go ahead, Rasha.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Rasya Simongkon. I study master degree at Kasesa University in Thailand, and today I would like to present about my research on the topic is development of furfural production process using reactive distillations. Furfural is an intermediate in the synthesis of a variety of chemicals such as furan, furfuryl alcohol, and tetrahydrofuran. Furfural is one of the biomass-based platform chemicals which can be further converted into the various useful products applicable in the fine chemical, oil refining, biofuels, and polymer industry. The most common source to produce furfural are sugarcane bagasse and corn cobs. Furfural is a non-polar molecule, slightly soluble, smells like almond, and when exposed to the air, it is a yellow to dark brown. The current market price of the furfural for analysis grade is at the price of approximately $70 to $120. Currently, Thailand is mainly based on agriculture and make a lot of biomass from agriculture. Bagasse is one of the agricultural biomass and from abundant sugar production in 2019 and 2020. There is a sugar industry by crush more than 12 million tons of sugarcane per year. In addition to processing sugar, bagasse can be used in continuously industry, and in Thailand, bagasse is used to produce paper tissue, plywood sheets, or plastic substitutes. But there are few that will use bagasse to produce very as chemical at all. In general research, pure cellulose is used to produce furfural, which is normally difficult to do in the general furfural production process. This is because during the cellulose dehydration process, furfural can be decomposition and condensation reaction to other substances such as the furfuryl alcohol, tetrahydrofuran, or tetrahydrofurfuryl alcohol. But in our research, we have used bagasse instead of pure cellulose, and this furfural production problem can be solved by using reactive distillation. For reactive distillation, chemical reaction and distillation are combined in one device. It is the technique that can increase the concentration purity of the products. It is also possible to separate the product during the reaction to complete the reaction and reduce the production of byproduct. For an experiment, hydroxide or cellulose to furfural using reactive distillation, we take the hydroxide or 99% pure cellulose through the dehydration reactions by a reactive distillation. Optimal condition are hydroxide or cellulose to butanol is 2:1 ratio and 2% weight by weight of sulfuric acid at 100 degrees Celsius for 3 hours. The sample was extracted from reactive distillation. There is a total of 2 parts. The first is the distillate section and the second is the bottom flash. Both of these parts were analyzed by high-performance liquid chromatography or HPLC to calculate the percentage furfural yield, percentage furfural selectivity, and percentage cellulose conversion. For the result and discussion, the production of furfural from cellulose using the reactive distillation system, the results are shown in the figure 1 and table 1. The results show that the furfural yield increased with the prolonged reaction time. The furfural yield increased from 29% at the 1 hour reaction to 30% at the 2 hour reaction and peak at 52% after the 3 hours. This result proves that the furfural production using a reactive distillation system follows the equation 1 reaction mechanism. Butanol was used as a solvent in the reactive distillation system. It had a lower boiling point than furfural and therefore can evaporate along with the water. When the reaction temperature was 100 degrees Celsius, butanol evaporated along with the water. So the solvent cannot be stored in the source. This may cause the decrease in the furfural yield. Therefore, it is necessary to change the solvent to the one with a higher boiling point than furfural to prevent solvent from evaporating along with the water. The productions of furfural from bagasse hydroxide using the reactive distillation, the results are shown in the figure 2 or table 2. The results show that the furfural yield initially increased and decreased later. After 1 hour, furfural yield increased from 6% to 40%, and over 2 or 3 hours, the yield gradually decreased from 40% to 17% and 22% respectively. Unlike the use of the pure cellulose as a starting material, a side product with humans in the hydroxide can occur. As a result, the yield of furfural obtained from the hydroxide was lower than that from the reaction using pure cellulose. The use of alternative solvent with a higher boiling point in the reactive distillation system was also suggested based on the result from this experiment. For conclusion, the development of furfural production process from cellulose and hydroxide to bagasse furfural was studied. The major conclusions are as follows. The first is the study on the furfural production from cellulose led to higher furfural yield 52% and Selectivity is 52% as well compared to the use of the Bagat hydroxide, which gave the lower yield is 40% and selectivity is 40% as well under the reaction condition at 100 degrees Celsius. The second is the lowest sulfur yield from hydroxide can be caused by formation of humin after the dehydration of cellulose. The last is the use of butanol as a solvent in the reactive distillation system is not suitable since butanol has a low boiling point compared to furfural. This causes evaporation of the solvent along with the water, resulting in low furfural yield. So the study on using an alternative solvent with a higher boiling point is recommended for both processing using cellulose and hydroxide as a start material. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, Racha. Do we have any other presentations lined up, or are we done?
I can present.
Yeah, please start the presentation. Yapra?
Yes, I'm sharing. Just
Yes,
give me a
please.
minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen. Please go ahead.
Okay. I am Yaprak Deniz Yurt. I am from Atılım University at Ankara. Today I will present our study on UX in Design Studio, and I worked with my colleague Secil Toros. This study focuses on the how students experience the UX design project in an industrial design education. And I would like to start with some basic definitions. User experience is a growing field, focusing on the interaction between people and product or system or services. And UX design process requires different professions to involve in the process, including developers, researchers, and designers. However, IT education focuses on more physical interactions, whereas UX design process requires more digital interactions. But at the end, they share the same aspect, which is the human-centered design approach. And in this study, we gave students a design brief, you can see at the screen, and we apply it into our fourth year design studio. And design studio course is a kind of root of design education, because it is where students learn experientially by doing, and they can get some critiques from their instructors. And this was a 7 weeks long project. And as you can see, it was quite structured. I mean, we gave them the tasks, we gave them the methods we want them to expect to use. And we also expect them to document them on some specific mediums. And we also use Miro, which is a collaborative internet-mediated tool. We use them for enable them to share their work instantly. And then we can comment each other, and they can also see each other's work online. And this is one of the examples. You can see card sorting methods, you can see user journey map and user flows. And actually there were quite successful projects when we evaluate them as industrial design students. And this is another example. At the left, you can see a wireframe. This is a method they use during the initial phases of the process. And at the right, you can see more finalized version of that user flow. And they, you can see that they not just design the experience part, but also the interface part with visual elements. And after we completed the project, we want to make a focus group interview to understand how students experience the structured process, because it was not just new for them, but also new for the instructors. And we conduct a focus group interview with 5 students. The whole number of the students were 5, and then we make a voice recording, and then we made a coding. And yeah, there were many findings, but I will highlight some of them. And these are some positive findings that we find. Because they don't have some prior experience in user experience design, they find the structuredness of the process helpful. They find it as a good guidance. And also they find some methods such as card sorting and user flow appropriate to adapt their following industrial design projects, which is a good thing, because as many methods as much they know, it will be easier for them to choose the right methods to apply on their further projects. And also they find the internet mediated tool useful, because it gives them a chance to share their opinions and works instantly and take more critiques than the traditional ways. And also they benefited from the consultancy from a professional. We had a developer, and he was also working on some user experience design. So they can get critiques from that professional people throughout the process. And there are some negative sides. At the beginning of the project, we gave them a method which was a card sorting, and before we expect them to use it, we just role play the method, and they actually find it quite beneficial. But afterwards, we didn't do it for other methods. For example, for user journey maps, we just taught verbally. We give some resources to them and answer their questions. But they said that it will be better to learn by watching the real process. So for further projects, we are planning to role play or just provide them a place which they can see and learn from professionals. And they also suggest some changes in the place, because it was hard for them to conduct user research to create user journey map without having a prototype. And surprisingly, they think that user interface design is not their duty. And we think that it is because the duration of user interface design were just 2 weeks, but they worked on the user experience part for more than 5 weeks. But at the end, at the jury, the grades were given based on the visual elements, they think. And as a conclusion, we think that this study gives us some important insights on how they experience the structured UX design process. And it will enable us to restructure the design brief and also restructure the methods we give and the methods of teaching for the future projects. And also we present this here to provide a basis for future studies, and we believe it is contributing to the literature of UX in ID education, which is a hot topic. Thank you for listening.